Hi Jerry, just a quick look at the short game work that we did. I really enjoyed this segment with you. After watching it on the golf course, I could see a player who was a little bit conflict with himself around the greens. He sort of, obviously a guy who's been coached in the past, been advised how to chip and how to play out of bunkers. But unfortunately, been working on some pieces that don't complement the situation you're in very well. So here we are in the bunker at the start of your session on the left, and we're pretty good at playing the low bunker shot. We're controlling the ball after it lands on the green isn't too important. So like plenty of room to work with. Flags at the back of the green, you can get that ball skipping up to it, no problem at all. It's quite a steep setup, so the stance is not overly narrow, but it's not terribly wide. It's a pretty standard stance. We've got a lot of forward lean on the shaft. So shaft leaning forward quite a lot, which is taking the loft off the club and reducing the bounce angle on the club. So we've got a pretty de-lofted wedge at that point, and that all bodes for quite a steep angle into the golf ball. So when we're hitting these shots, the ball's coming out the bunker every time, but we're taking a lot of sand. The ball's coming out low. If we do hit behind the ball a little bit too much, we tend to leave the ball in the bunker. So we've got a lot of shaft lean, not enough loft really, quite a lot of sand. A few little things like maybe sort of raising the butt of the club quickly, dividing the elbows a touch to try and gain some trajectory, but not a lot of chance of playing a high soft landing one from there. So what we talked about was, various ways of changing the trajectory. Opening the club face is most people's only way of doing it. And what we said to you, that there was various ones. We've widened the stance a little bit. I've asked you to open the face as much as possible, put the ball as far forward as you can, and to keep the handle back. So suddenly now on this golf club, we've got much more loft than we had before. The shaft isn't leaning anywhere near as far forward as it was before, and we're setting ourselves up for a much shallower angle of attack. And the theme really for yourself, Jerry, through the bunker shots that we hit was to give yourself more loft at address, create a shallower setup, if you will. So ball forward, handle back, club face open, allowing you to take sort of slightly less sand, a shallower divot, if you will, and present the club with a little bit less forward lean, allowing you to learn to play the higher, softer landing shot. Initially, you were still making some downswing adjustments based on the setup that you were demonstrating on the left-hand side. But throughout the course of the session, after about 30 minutes or so of playing around with the variables, opening the face, moving the ball forward, getting a more lofted wedge, allowing the club to pass the hands, etc., etc., you start to shallow things out. You start to play some nice high, soft landing bunker shots. So the process when you're working on your bunkers going forward is to shallow things out, set up, ball further forward, handle further back, stance a little bit wider, and just keep that theme of shallowing things out going throughout the whole scope of shots that you play in the bunker. I'm going to take a quick look at your chipping now and go over the key points. Similar sort of thing that we talked about, just adding variables, establishing a benchmark, and then going from there. So here we're looking at your benchmark chip shot. We've advised you that with your 52-degree wedge, the ball's going to land approximately halfway and run halfway. Previously, you had a stance that was a little bit too wide. And then what you would then do to get better contact is you would start to move the ball further back, handle further forward, very similar to your bunker shot, which is now producing a steeper angle of attack, giving you better contact. But unfortunately, the 52 degrees that you've pulled out the bag is now maybe only 42 degrees, and when that ball lands, it's going to keep running, because whenever you put the ball back and handle forward, If you strike the ball properly, you're going to be hitting it with less loft and you're going to be hitting it higher up on the face. Consequently, that's a good scenario for reducing spin. So you would hit a lot of shots that you think, right, well, I've picked the right club out of the bag, I've landed it on the right part of the green, but then it just keeps running and running and running and leaves yourself a 10, 15 foot putt coming back. So the first thing we did was narrow the stance. We've got the feet about club heads width apart. We've got the ball somewhere in the centre of the stance. It can be a little bit forward, I've not got a problem with that, but this is our baseline shot. And because of the narrower stance, the ball is now naturally positioned behind the centre of the swing. More than enough to give you a descending blow, but allowing you to keep the loft on the golf club. So if you're pulling 52 degrees out the bag, you want to be setting up to it with 52 degrees to give you the type of trajectory and roll that you're after. This also allows you now to create more of a shallow approach to the golf ball. We don't need an excessively steep angle of attack when we chip. The dominant feeling on the backswing should be allowing the wrist to hinge so that the butt of the club doesn't get too far away from you, which again will compromise how good you can contact the golf ball. So allow the wrist to hinge on the way back. The dominant feel on the way through is to keep the arms moving. We're coming in steep enough, but not too steep that we're taking all the loft off the club face. The ball launches in a nice manner for a 52-degree wedge, and when it landed on the green was reacting more appropriately. Not every time, but it was reacting most of the time. You were starting to see the odd one sort of digging in a little bit with that element of check on that you desired at the start of your session. We then spoke about some variables that you could add. So wherever you position the ball relative to the centre of the arc will give you a certain angle of attack. So if the ball goes back, the angle of attack is going to be steeper, and that's fine for a low running shot. Previously you were trying to play pretty much every shot from there, and that's why it wasn't working out. If you want to move the ball forward in the arc, that's also fine, and that's going to shallow out the angle of attack and produce a higher, softer landing shot. So you can play around with a number of different ball positions relative to the arc centre. So the centre of the arc's the left shoulder, and you played around with a spectrum of ball positions. So we've got the standard ball position as we see it there, and then you might want to move the ball forward, 2 balls forward, 3 balls forward. You might want to move the ball back 1, back 2, back 3, even back 4. Developing certain shots, that's fine. That's great ways. That's a great way of acquiring extra shots, improving your skills. But if the ball is 4 or 5 balls back, like we see here, then that's fine as long as we're trying to hit down on it and play a low running shot. If we start trying to play a high soft landing one or a little checky one from there, we're not going to get it done. So there's too much of a compromise. There's too many components that contradict what you're trying to do. Remember, when you're playing a spinning shot, if you're looking to play a spinning shot, you need the grooves to be clean, you need a premium golf ball, and more importantly, the lie needs to be conducive to it. We need to be off a tighter lie, not a semi-rough style lie. So at least you've got a systematic approach, applying the variables, ball forward, handle location, etc., etc., to produce the sort of trajectories and shots that you want. Good luck with it. If you've got any questions, feel free to drop me a text, an email, or give me a call. Look forward to working with you again in the near future. Good luck and keep me posted.